A major investigation into a helicopter crash.
Across Cairns and far north Queensland, with Rob Bruff and Joanne Desmond, this is 7 Local News.
Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us.
Good evening.
A Cairns technician who suffered serious head injuries in a helicopter crash near Cooktown remains in hospital. It's believed he may have been hit by a rotor as the chopper rolled on Mount Cook yesterday. Other passengers have told how they scrambled to escape the smoking wreck, worried it was about to burst into flames.
Emergency crews found the crumpled cabin perched precariously on a boulder overlooking a 400-metre drop. 5 people had been preparing to board when it rolled into the mountain. 51-year-old technician John LeCarver was under it. A rescue helicopter crew was called in to winch him out.
He was in and out of consciousness and was in a pretty bad way when we arrived.
Fellow passenger Cooktown Mayor Peter Scott was also pinned. He was knocked unconscious. The helicopter crushed his ribs.
I woke up and with this chopper lying on top of me, it was very heavy, and I said, boys, get this off me.
Paramedic Ron Beckett watched it all unfold. He helped lift the helicopter to free the men. The rotors were still spinning, smashing into the ground.
There was fuel and oil everywhere, red hot exhaust. The first risk was ignition and fire. There was plenty of opportunity for that, and I had 3 people that were likely to get burnt to death.
The survivors walked injured back down the mountain to safety. The trek took more than an hour.
When they told me that everybody survived, I thought they were pretty lucky.
The group had been checking a radio transmitter tower that was damaged during Cyclone Ita. Traditional owners had joined the mayor to inspect the site for a new helipad that would allow choppers to land safely on top of the mountain. Anthony Cristani is believed to have been at the controls. GBR says he's one of their most experienced pilots.
He says it happened in the commercial arm of the business and won't impact reef flights operating from Cairns. A local technician remains in Townsville Hospital with serious head injuries suffered when he was pinned under the chopper.
Rescue crews were unable to land near the cliff face, fearing they would knock the aircraft off its precarious position on a rock ledge. Instead, they had to trek into the bush to rescue the victims.
They were incredibly lucky. With an aircraft rolling over and rotor blades going everywhere, it's just a miracle that no one was killed during that accident.
The Bell Jet Ranger was carrying 6 people, including the Cookshire Mayor, Peter Scott.
Passengers in a helicopter which flipped at Mount Cook in far north Queensland have described the moment of impact. 3 of the 6 men were injured as the aircraft's rotor blades slammed into a rocky outcrop.
Still stuck on the side of Mount Cook, the smashed Bell 206 remains a sombre reminder of a lucky escape for its pilot and 5 passengers.
If it had fallen down, that would have been nasty. The pilot would have gone and I would have probably been dragged down there too.
Cookshire Mayor Peter Scott was attempting to climb into the hovering helicopter when the aircraft flipped early yesterday afternoon.
I was thrown out of the chopper because it was spinning round, and I landed on my head and was knocked unconscious.
Fellow passenger Ron Beckett lifted wreckage off the survivors who'd been surveying the area for a new helipad site.
There was fuel and oil everywhere, red hot exhaust. The first risk was ignition and fire.
Technician John LeCarver was also knocked out and suffered serious head injuries. He was flown to Townsville Hospital and is in a stable condition.
They were incredibly lucky. With an aircraft rolling over and rotor blades going everywhere, it's just a miracle that no one was killed during that accident.
Cairns-based operator GBR Helicopters today described pilot Anthony Cristani as one of the most experienced in the company. Investigations have begun into how he handled the chopper in windy conditions.
We will look at the risk controls that were in place. We'll look at the documentation for the helicopter and the maintenance status of the helicopter. As I say, we will be seeking to understand the local conditions at the time.
It'll be a less formal debrief for survivors and rescuers.
I own a beer actually, Fred. We've got to get together.
Kim Scubris, 7 News.